Hi, welcome back to Chasing Tone. Please give a big round of applause for your host, Travis Feaster.
He's my hype man. You know, he's
does
like
that work?
You're like, if I was the rapper, you would just say every last word. Like, I'm Travis, and I'm here to say.
Can I be the guy that just goes, what? That's
the hype man.
Oh, that's the hype man?
Yeah, you could be
Can I be like? Can I be
fly
like?
girl?
I actually saw
sexy legs.
Damian Marley opened up for Ben Harper one year, and he actually had a guy that his main job was just to wave a flag. He's like this big Jamaican flag. He just waved his flag the whole time.
Have you ever?
It was awesome.
Have you ever heard of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
No.
You haven't really?
I mean, maybe. Their music,
Oh, what? Do you remember the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
Yeah.
They were kind of a ska band.
Kind of a ska, California ska thing.
They were like ska before the ska movement. You know what I mean? They were.
Right.
They're hipster ska.
I don't know. Were they post No Doubt or were they pre No Doubt?
They're very pre No Doubt.
Are they?
Basically, like, it was skater music. And when I used to
Right.
skate, I used to listen to them.
Yep.
I used to listen to 311
Curve
before.
Swirl.
I remember 311.
Remember 311 when they had that record called Music? It was before they hit.
I don't remember now.
What's on this record? Music.
That's what
we'll call it.
That was my 20s though. So
Yeah, and then another band that was like a punk band. You remember what was that one? The McGrath guy, Sugar Ray. They were a hardcore punk band. Did you know that? They were a punk band before they went pop.
Really?
Yeah, so Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Anyway, they have a guy. They call him the Boss Tone, and all he does is dance. He dresses up in a tuxedo and just dances. And by the end of the show, he's just soaked with sweat. It was awesome.
It's terrible.
I need a Boss Tone. I got to get me a Boss Tone. And I don't think I've been talking into my mic this whole time.
Sure you have.
Compression. Okay, so to the paper. Okay, this one's a good one. It says, I have two questions that come to mind. First one for Brian. Have you ever plugged into a pedal that wasn't your own and been immediately jealous or disappointed that you didn't create it or make it? If so, can you share some that come to mind?
Sure.
I remember you say the pedal, but I remember you came to me and you said, "Have you played this yet?"
Den Electro Black Metal, right?
The Cool Cat.
Cool Cat, yeah. Cool Cat.
That was cool, though.
Tuna salad.
Tuna salad, yeah. That actually modified those back in the day.
Milkshake, pepper,
But,
Yeah.
But you said, have you played this? And I said, no, not yet. And you go, it's really good. No, you said, I'm depressed, or it depressed me, or something like that. I was like, why? And you're like, it's really good. What was that pedal, Brian?
I'm not telling. I will say, though, that I did reverse it and find out that what I thought was magic was nothing more than cascaded MOSFETs ran at 18 volts. So then I felt better because I was like, oh.
Well, I would have hit on that eventually.
Well, I've tried that before. It's basically a box of rock that's double voltage.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I was talking about the other pedal. I remember that one. That was real early.
One word sounds like.
No, the one that repeats things.
Two words.
Yeah.
First word.
The one that repeats things.
Delay pedal?
The cattle and bread.
Yes.
The cattle and bread, yes.
Yes, that was another one that.
Yes, they actually.
In your term, depressed you.
Which one? I forget which one that was.
I thought it was the Echo Rack.
Was it the Echo Rack?
I think so.
Yeah, great sounding delay. Mm-hmm. And I don't work for them. But it's scary good.
Yeah,
I think Jack DeVille, or Mr. Black, or wherever he goes by now, I think he actually had a hand in designing some of that, the code part of that.
Let me just
It's using a spin semi-chip. So
let me just say,
FV1.
Of course. Weren't you doing something with the R2D2 for a while too?
The R2D2 is a big part of
R2D2?
That was nice. Do it again.
I keep doing acting smiling.
But don't whistle into the mic because you'll get the air. There you go.
Yeah.
What was this though?
There's R2D2. He doesn't have arms, but if he did, I imagine he'd move them like this.
That's a hard point, is biasing the R2D2. So
biasing the R2D2. What's it really called? Arduino?
Yes.
That's R2D2.
That's a different. Yeah, sort of.
That's R2D2.
It's different than the spin chip, but actually, like, we use the Arduino with the spin chip to do some stuff on some upcoming delays that we have coming up.
Duh.
Sure.
And reverbs.
Duh.
And chorus.
And FV1s. Dude, have you going to FV1 this year?
I've never flown
I don't
an
even know what
FV1.
that is. Is that like Formula car racing?
Yeah, that's what you said, isn't it? Earlier, FV1?
FV1, but it's a chip that makes sounds.
Chips.
It's not a food type
Yeah.
of chip. No, you don't eat this chip.
Tastes like poison.
It tastes like poison. It tastes like lead. Okay, but so I mean, I've done that. I've plugged into pedals and been like, man, I wish Brian made this.
You ever
You know
you ever
what I
just want to take the mic off here and just
Smooth.
He unplugged his mic.
that was awesome.
Brian Wampler,
I
ladies
just
and
want to
gentlemen.
take the mic off and walk around. You know.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Hang on.
His cable's falling apart here.
I totally screwed this. Okay, I'm an idiot. Everybody in the YouTube comment section,
Slow clap.
just stop.
No. Here's the thing. If it was me or Max, I'd be like, you idiots. But it was usually like, Brian's so funny and clever. Did you see how his mic came unplugged?
He geniusly unplugged it.
He's so Brian. Wait a minute, that's a new term for amazing.
He unplugged it with one
No,
hand.
come on.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I'm only slightly amazing.
It's only partially true. But
Just, I mean, if someone would just convince my wife that, we'd be fine.
yeah, right. That'll never happen. Not because it's your wife, just because
Just
she
wives
is
in
a wife.
wives
right?
in general, right?
I've still yet to convince my wife that I'm funny.
I keep trying to tell her.
I know. Like,
She just doesn't see it.
like
She doesn't see the comedic genius. that
the thing
shows
is like I'll say something that's like I'm giving her gold and like nothing, and then somebody will say something that's like not even funny at all. It's just downright stupid, and she'll laugh to tears. And it's like I figured it out. The reason I'm not funny is because she is immune to funny.
But she does have good taste in guitars, and you've talked about that before.
Yes, she
about
does.
she does understand the lust for gear.
Oh yeah, man. She understands. She hates
To-
it.
But I mean, to balance the two, I'd rather have the woman.
Remind me to tell you about the guitar I just bought. I can't tell on the show. I can't tell on the show.
should I say your former wife?
right. No, she allowed it.
Really?
Yeah,
So that's totally fine. She may
It
not
is
think
totally-
you're funny, but she allows
Oh,
gear
dude,
purchases.
I almost bought a guitar Tuesday night. It's a Mojo Machine, dude. It really has like no worth. But basically, it's like a 70s sunburst body that's been oversprayed Fiesta red. So it's been like, and now it's like cracked and it's real relict. And then the neck started life as an October 1958 Telecaster neck.
Really?
And somebody sliced it off and made it flush, and then at the headstock, and then added a pointy piece to make it look like a Fender Stratocaster headstock. And it looks right, but when you get up on it and you play it, it's not right. So, but like it's like, dude, you just butchered a 19. But they probably did it in the 70s,
Probably.
you know. And at that point, the guitar is 12 years
The
old.
junky 58 Telecasters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, but it was like so faded out. It almost looked pink. You know what I mean? Like that salmon color. Oh, it was so gorgeous. I wanted to buy it, but it played really, really tight. Like it felt like the scale was longer for some reason. I don't know why, but it just felt, and it had nines on it, and I never played nines, and it had nines on it, and it still felt tight. So,
Wow.
yeah. So sorry, I got off topic,
That's fine.
but it was a gorgeous guitar, man. Okay,
Well, that other question that is
Yeah.
Pete had.
yeah, Pete from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana.
I-
I have played in Floyd's Knobs.
I've never heard of that
Indiana.
town.
It's down by Louisville. It's pretty much Louisville.
Is it really?
People from Floyd's Knobs normally just say,
Okay.
"I'm in Louisville."
That's like Clarksville area, right? Clarksville and Madison, maybe.
No. Madison's the other side of the state, but it is like right on the border as well.
Okay. I know my geography, obviously.
You know your geography. You know you had that geography. Okay.
But his other question I actually thought was pretty interesting.
Okay. You want me to read it or you
Yeah,
just want
yeah,
me
go
to-
ahead.
Okay, it says second one is mainly for Brian, but I'd be interested to hear what Travis and Max have to say. Sucker. I know Brian has been praised for having an incredible ear, and I've heard the same of Dr. Z, Dumble, etc. For the rest of us quote unquote mortals, can you give us some advice on how to hear different frequencies, harmonics, etc.? I know that may be a dumb question, but I'm not too proud to ask something if it makes me better. Any tips and tricks for us hacks are always appreciated. Could either be used to copy someone else's famous tone or just help us define what tone is in everyone's head. Different answer for everyone.
I don't know if like guitar players hear. I think guitar players hear those frequencies.
Yeah.
I think some of us, like the Dr. Z's and the different guys that start building pedals, they start understanding what to do circuit-wise to get different things with frequencies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think as a musician, your ear kind of gets tuned into hearing things that other people may not hear. I mean, you can tell the difference between one tube screamer from another tube screamer to another tube screamer. And you hear
right.
like when we were prototyping things for the Clarksdale.
Yeah, we went through 10 different op amps.
Yeah.
And to me, it sounded worlds apart.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, as a musician, I think we have that ability.
Right.
It just doesn't always translate to, oh, well, that's because of the JFET clipping or whatever, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
so there,
So, like, this is weird, and it's kind of funny. But when I was in college, I was an audio recording major, okay? And I'll never forget one night at a party, right before bed, I had this, like, epiphany of tone and frequencies. And keep in mind, it was after a party.
that was the name? Epiphany?
No substances were consumed.
Yeah, but it was after a party, and I thought of tone, and I still think of it this way. But most people think of what's the word I'm looking at? Linear? Is that the word I'm looking for? Most people think of it as a linear thing, to where on the left side is bass, on the right side is treble,
Okay.
and in the middle is mids, right?
Sure.
I mean, most people think of that. I mean, even graphical interfaces show that.
Right.
To where I thought of it as a tube, to where the furthest end of the tube is your bass, the middle is the middle, and the closest part of the tube is the treble. And I still think of it that way. Like, and I don't know why, but when I hear it, that's what I hear, and I try to get all those circles to match up. I know, weird, right?
Marijuana's a
That was the bag of something you were smoking.
Trust me, it totally makes sense in my head, especially that night. Because what I did is the next morning I woke up, I went into the studio, and seriously, I did the best mix that I'd ever done at that time. I took it to my professor. I was like, hey, can you listen to this? He was like, man, this is a great mix. What'd you do? And I was like, I had an epiphany.
great toke on epiphany.
Easy. I don't know what you guys are talking
I
about.
don't know what I'm about either.
All I know is my ear for tone was changed since then. True story.
Opened up my mind, man.
No, stop it. Whatever. I shouldn't have told that story. Whatever.
That was a great story.
Yeah. Now everybody thinks I'm a freak. Even more so. But no, I mean, I like that everybody, what I'm getting at with that is everybody has their own way of thinking about tone.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate, but I think the easiest way to do it is describe it on some visual basis.
Yeah, I don't see the tube thing, but go sorry, Max.
No, what I can. No, for me.
Hashtag interruption.
Brian, that's a terrible hashtag.
No,
First one he ever said.
that's a terrible hashtag. No, but man, immerse yourself into it. I mean, it's, there's a million different kinds of cola. You have Pepsi and Coke, and you have off-brand. If you drink them enough, it's like, I can tell the difference between this one. I can tell the difference between this one. I think tones are the same way. Just immerse yourself into it. And yes, I didn't make a food and drink analogy there, but yeah, you immerse yourself.
At least you didn't
enough.
say beer.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with beer even. But no, you immerse yourself enough in it, and you'll start picking up those subtle differences. At least for me.
So I gotta backtrack here. I was listening to I was editing the podcast yesterday. The one that came out on, what is today? The 12th? Sure. But the one that came out on the 12th, Max says something along the lines of like, hipsters are ruining everything I love. Beards and beer and da-da-da. And like going on about how he's waiting for the hipster thing to end. No. And I started thinking, if they're ruining everything you love, and you love if it looks like a hipster and it smells like a hipster, then dun, dun, you, sir, are.
No.
You are what
hipster.
you hate.
I'm not a hipster.
You
No.
you are.
I have hipster tendencies.
Hey,
I'll
wait.
admit that.
Wait. If you could grow a beard, would you have a beard?
No,
Yes.
If I grow a mustache, I would have a mustache.
Even more hipster. Okay.
Dude, mustaches are manly.
Okay.
Tom Selleck.
What about
Sean Connery for a little while. Case closed.
What do you call those newsboys hats?
It's an Applejack.
An Applejack. Okay. You know who knows what those are called? Hipsters. You know who wears those? You and hipsters.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Okay. Original hipsters. But dude, imagine if you got Simon and Garfunkel and James Taylor together to do a song Oh, it'd be the whitest song you've ever heard.
It'd be awesome.
Feeling groovy. You ever heard that song?
Or,
Oh my
no.
God.
While we're backtracking episodes, though, stop what you're doing. Check out the last episode, and then all I do is talk in hashtags. It's true. I laugh and talk in hashtags. I've been waiting seriously for like 20 episodes to do this. I'm like, I wonder if I can pull that off.
Just nothing
And
but
I totally
hashtags.
did. Yeah. Super cool guest, and all I do is talk in hashtags. Awesome. Now, continue watching.
Okay, this next question ties into our previous episode. Assuming that it comes out before this one.
Has to now. I ruined it.
Seeing as podcasts are free, do any of you fellas listen to any other guitar shows or guitar related or
Gear
otherwise?
related,
Or gear related or otherwise?
From Tyler Wilson of the Tyler Wilson Band,
Mm-hmm.
Brantford, Ontario, which is in Canada.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
But sorry. You know up there they just call Canadian bacon.
Call it ham.
It's ham, dude.
I'm just saying they call in Brazil they call Brazil nuts.
Like you're Brazil.
Boom.
nuts.
I am.
I got nothing here.
That's
I
great
want to make
informa-
another joke.
Great information.
I want to make another joke, but I'm not going to.
So do you listen to
So
any other
podcast.
I've listened to Gear Talk, and I'll be honest. Before I started doing this podcast, I'd never listened to a podcast before.
Yeah,
in my
you weren't
life.
big into them. I'd probably listen to more. I'd listen to Lauren Hunt's. Was it guitar? I think it's just called the Guitar Podcast.
Yeah.
Several years ago, there was a podcast called Six String Bliss. I think they stopped doing it now, but they had like 300, 400 episodes or something. They quit doing it, and I listened to that every now and then if I was soldering all day long. It was
Because I remember you asked me one time, you're like, if you've never listened to a podcast, how do you know how to do a podcast? I said, listen to ESPN Sports Talk Radio.
yeah, same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
I mean, I probably listen to more non-gear related podcasts than I do gear.
Yeah.
I mean, if you talk about gear all day long, then you need some like reprieve at some point.
You know
what I
the
mean?
one thing that does suck, and I thought about this the other day, and this is off topic. Imagine that. But we run a gear podcast, and I haven't played new gear for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
I just got a new pedal.
What'd you get?
I got a exotic, the orange one, the
The BB
BB,
Plus?
Yeah.
Or the orange, the smaller
the
bag.
smaller one.
Okay, BB preamp. Those are cool.
Yeah.
I always thought they were red, but I'm colorblind.
Well, it's kind of a
orange
It's
red.
kind of an orangish reddish. So,
I'm color deficient.
but yeah, I got one of those. Just I hadn't played
Would
one
you
for a
ever-
while and got a wild hair.
What do you think? Do you think you'd ever sell one of your employees one of a competitor's pedal that you own?
Maybe a lot of that stuff, like a lot of competitors' pedals,
Hmm.
I buy just to really get a feel for what other people are doing.
Right. Would you ever
Yeah.
sell one to your employees?
Depends what it was. It was like an Arion tubulator or something, maybe.
What if it was a rocket archer?
No, I'm not selling that one.
You're not selling that
No.
one? Oh.
Nope.
Okay, then can I have it?
No.
No.
Thanks for asking.
He's like, I already give you a paycheck. Why don't you just be happy with that? But
And pizza.
and pizza. He did. Brian treated the office to pizza today because I had to make sure I didn't have pizza tooth.
It was delicious.
Felt like I had pizza tooth, but so I've listened.
I've done. I've been done listening.
I listened. No, I listened to the Gear Talk podcast, and was that the one Philippe was on?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's the one I listened to.
Yep. Mason
But-
Stoops is on the last one that's been released. Mason Stoops
Okay.
is on.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I'm such a music lover that I would prefer to listen to music. You know, and I listen to absolutely everything. You know, except for like hardcore metal. And like, I said that before, and somebody's like, "You need to check out this man, this man, this man, this man," and I'd already heard them all. So it was like, I guess maybe I do. You know, but anyway,
I've been, believe it or not, for some reason, and I'm probably gonna get made fun of like crazy.
oh yeah,
But you ever heard of Dan Tominski?
no,
Alison Krauss.
yeah, of course.
Okay. So
He's the beard guy who plays acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
He's from Indiana.
But you don't
I
call
think
him
so.
a hipster.
Huh?
But you don't call him a hipster.
I call him a hillbilly.
But my gosh, man, those guys are—it's an
That whole band.
amazing group of players. I mean, not that I'm like a huge bluegrass fan, but I mean, just listening to it from a musician's point of view, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's just
That's how I ran into. This is related, but that's how I ran into Jerry Douglas in Okinawa.
no.
Yeah, at the airport, I was like, "This guy looks familiar. It looks like Jerry Douglas," you know. But it was like 3:00 in the morning, you
Right.
know? And then I'm like, you know, and I'll be honest, had I not seen him pick up a guitar, I wouldn't have, a guitar case, I never would have known.
Right.
You know, I'm just being real. And I saw him, I'm like, then it tripped it. I was like, that's Jerry Douglas. And then I was like, I'm just going to let him be because we just got off a 12-hour flight. I'm not going to talk to this guy, you know, but I wanted to. But he came up to me and he's like, where are you guys playing? I was like, Jerry Douglas just asked me where we're playing. And I was like, oh, we're doing a marine thing or whatever. And he was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, what are you guys doing? He was like, oh, we're doing some dates in this festival and then this festival and this festival. I'm thinking, I bet you're making more money than me.
I thought you were going to say he came over and said, "Are you Travis from the Chasing Tone podcast?"
Yeah, right? I'm going to be like, I don't know if you're a professional or you're familiar with professional roller derby, but I'm Travis Feaster. That's my pickup line.
That works every time, I'm sure.
80% of the time, it works every time. Did you know that 79.65% of all statistics are made up?
That's right here.
That's an Eleanor
I think that was an Abraham Lincoln quote.
Yeah. Dude, did you Google my Eleanor Roosevelt quote? Was I right?
I didn't Google it.
You forgot about it,
I
didn't you?
did, honestly.
Yeah, because you don't care, Max. You don't.
That's true.
Do you listen to any gear-related podcasts?
Not gear podcast. I probably listen to some unrelated gear podcasts and talk radio, but yeah.
Yeah, I listen. I'm a big-time sports nut. Huge sports nut. I love my Indianapolis Colts. I love the Buffalo Bills. You know, I in baseball, I pretty much just love baseball. I like the Indianapolis Indians. You know, they're minor league though. But
Hockey.
and yeah, I got you into hockey.
You did.
Yeah.
I'm a hockey freak now.
Yeah, and I like me some Blackhawks, but I listen to sports stuff, so not gear related. But how about Andre Johnson and Frank Gore? Come on!
Yeah, Andre Giant.
No idea who you're talking about.
No, for real.
No clue.
Big Colts acquisitions, but this is not a sports.
Yeah,
podcast.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
if we start talking about sports, we're probably going to lose 80% of our audience.
And that's a made-up statistic. See?
Boom.
Boom.
So I smell a new podcast coming soon. Chasing the Sports Topic with Travis Feaster.
Hashtag shkabang. Somebody.
I thought it was Kerbang.
Yeah. No, there's shkabang or skirbang. I'll accept either. But Max.
Depends where you're from, your dialect.
Yeah. Depends on where you're from, what you're into. But Max was making fun of me for shkabang. And then sure enough, you go, and I know who it is. Thank you, Andy. But somebody actually commented on the YouTube.
I saw that.
Hashtag shkabang.
I saw that.
And I was like,
That one's growing on me.
Max, hashtag suck it.
Why'd
Do I
you
have to
go
bleep
there?
that out? I can leave that, right?
Sure.
You're going to beep it out and be like, man, that's really harsh words.
the hashtag
You
beep.
guys should have like a fireball fight or something.
Yeah. That's Max's thing, though. I can't take that from him.
You can say
That's
that.
it.
Fireballs, or we need like
you need to shoot
Spider-Man.
lightning.
Ooh, lightning.
The,
No, we'll
so
try
the
that.
audio podcast listeners are like, what the hell are you talking
Yeah,
about?
if you watch it on YouTube,
yeah, you gotta, it's a YouTube thing. You gotta watch it.
Our intern he's super talented, man. He's a younger guy, but super talented. You know, basically we make jokes with him like, dude, you should make it to where we can throw fire. And sure enough, the next episode of the podcast, the fireballs are flying everywhere.
I need to be Godzilla through a village. Just smashing stuff. That'd be awesome. Never make it happen. Or you're fired. No, I'm joking.
But seriously, Nogan. But so the next question, I haven't read this yet.
Oh, sorry. That just talks about. Well, you can bring that up later if you want to. But
Oh no, that's different. No, I was talking about the other thing. But
the Mike Wolf thing.
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, he said, "Hello, Wampler team. This is a podcast question. This is a podcast, but I hope this is a correct place to ask it. What is quote tone suck end quote? Is it real? What causes it? How is it avoided? Thanks, Mike Wolf.
It's very real.
It's very real, and the best way to do that, the best way to see it, I think, is with the use of a buffer. And
If you look at I think it's the decibel we did.
yeah. The thing is
our
that's
video.
what I'm trying to think of a way to do it without pimping a Wampler product, but I just don't know how, because I don't know how many other buffers there are out there with on-off switches.
I'm not sure. I mean, the one we did, basically, we had like 80, 50, 60 feet. We had a bunch of feet of cord,
Yeah.
of cable, and a plugged guitar like with a little 1 foot or 2-foot lead or something into the amp, recorded that sound, plugged it through the pedal board without a buffer, recorded that sound, then turned the buffer on.
And it was the same as the sound of the amp going in.
Yeah, and comparing it actually, that's out of order. So I compared it with the buffer sound with the sound going to the amp, so you could actually hear basically what a buffer does. And it's not just the decibel, it's
right.
Basically, buffers are so simple, any buffer's really going to do
right.
the same
And
thing.
like, for instance, I was doing a session, and this guy, he had like, you know, if you've seen, I don't even know what they're called. It's just an extender, I guess, 1/4-inch female to 1/4-inch female. But he plugged 2 guitar cables in, and we were like 50 feet away from the amp. And I was like, dude, aren't you going to buffer that? And he was like, what are you talking about? I just went over to his pedal shelf, and I just grabbed a Boss tuner, and I threw that on there. And then, you know, we're hearing
all his highs came back, and he's like,
yeah, right.
my amp's too bright.
Right. It was funny because, well, I was playing the session. Anyway, it was so funny because we were listening in a controlled environment through very expensive preamps, through very expensive reference monitors. So it was a completely controlled environment. So the sound was drastically different. He was like, oh my gosh. He said, I probably won't have to EQ any highs in my guitars anymore.
Either that or you'll have to take some out if you're used to that sound.
But no, and the easiest way to do that is to get a bunch of cable. You know, if you have 2 20-foot cables, you know, put them into a true bypass pedal. Okay, and then play it. If you have a way to record it. And then unhook it and put in like a Boss pedal, a buffered bypass pedal, and listen to the clean tones of each, and you'll notice.
I've heard a lot, different people on forums and stuff talk about, I plugged into this compressor or that compressor.
It was brighter.
That made a lot brighter. And then you find out, well, that's the only pedal they have on their board. And the reason is because it's acting as a buffer. And so it's just the highs that were there to begin with that your 40-foot coily cable was taking out.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I was going to say something else, but I can't remember. Imagine that. I mean,
let's just wait and think.
Let's just move on. That way I don't get going on anything else. But I'm trying to think if there's I remember what I was going to say.
Sure.
Some pedals can tone suck worse than others. And I found this out by using the Korg G4.
I've never played one.
That's a Leslie Sim.
Yeah.
Dude, it's one of the best sounding Leslie Sims because it's so tweakable. If you don't mind spending a little time with it. Like, for instance, that Neo Mini Vent, you turn it on and it's awesome. But the Korg G4, if you don't mind tweaking, it's still equally as awesome. But
is it not a buffered output? Does it not sound like it's buffered?
It is not buffered. It is not true bypass. And as soon as you don't even have to kick it on. When it's off, it sucks everything. It's like every frequency. It's like even volume. So I took it to Kevin at Uncle Albert's amps, and he put in a true bypass, and it was like, ta-da. It was, it was amazing. Do you remember that?
I do. It's
So-
a giant pedal.
So without the true, so you put a true bypass switch in it, so it was actually loading the signal even more. Than
Yes.
It sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know, because as soon as he put the true bypass switch in it, it was fine. Like,
Maybe the switch had just gone bad. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is
That
that,
could happen.
well, it wasn't even like a real switch. It was like, I don't know what
fake switch?
It was plastic. You'll have to Google it, or maybe we can throw it up on the screen, Max. There you go.
I think I'm going to Yahoo that tonight.
Yeah.
Or bring it. Huh?
Ask Jeeves.
I'm going to ask Jeeves that tonight.
I'm gonna ask G's on this piece. But I mean, that's really all I got about tone suck.
Yeah. That's
Do
real.
you guys like coily cables? I know some guys like them.
I've never really played with one. If anybody wants to send me one, though, I'd play it.
Look, here's the thing, man. Like, you guys are gonna get mad at me for saying this, but the last couple gigs I've done have been at such high volume that I can't tell the difference between cables on those gigs. I can't. I was using a 50-watt plexi. You mean tell me when you're running a 50-watt plexi through a pedal board, and then the only cable, and I did use a coily cable because I forgot my other cable at home, but I couldn't tell. To me, it just sounded great. You know, it's like, I don't know.
They are a little darker.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you're playing to that plexi and it's cranked, you probably
Right.
notice.
You know, I think by the time you hit compression and you have dirt going in, I don't know. So, I mean, I have one. Logan gave it to me.
The coily?
Yeah, it's how you say
Bright orange.
orange.
Is it lava?
think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But and I know Gearman dude gave you one once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I really know about the coilies. Is the only time I've ever used them is when playing at volume.
Something I'd like to own. I don't know why I've never just bought one.
But I was playing an orange coily cable with a seafoam green Stratocaster.
Miami Dolphins.
I look like a Miami Dolphins fan.
It's true.
Which, by the way, Ryan Tannehill, thank you if you watch this, which I doubt you do, but you won me my fantasy league last year.
Hashtag pretend football.
Hashtag championship.
Championship.
Hashtag
Championship.
this is sports.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag thank you for chasing sports. Go sports, win state. But, you know, that. So if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the YouTube section below if you're listening, or email us at podcast@wamplerpedals.com. Leave us a review on iTunes. And did you want to say something about the amp show?
No, we can talk about that.
Another
maybe another show.
Okay.
Just talk about an upcoming.
Okay.
But basically, there's an upcoming amp show in Nashville called. They just changed it from the National Amp Show to what's it called?
Music Gear Expo.
The Nashville Music
cool.
Gear Expo, and it's if you're in the Midwest area, it's a real cool thing. But we'll talk about that here.
Yeah, we'll give you the deets later. But yeah, but thank you guys so much for listening. For Max and Brian, I'm Travis.